What's going on, guys? This your boy John the Liquidator coming back with another video. Look like Stephanie White is turning heads after making some strong comments about Caitlin Clark. Guys, for this one here, we got to go all the way up to Indy. Let's get it. Let's go. Everybody's having a great day today, man. Shout out to everybody that show love to the new channel. If you guys don't know, I launched a new channel today. You can find it in the post section of our channel. With that being said, Stephanie White, man, look like she's planning on going on another media run. I don't know if it's gonna help bring the hype.
She's the devil, intentionally sabotaging her career. How dare she imply Caitlin Clark still has things to work on? The internet exploded, a digital wildfire sparked by what many considered a series of savage, career-ending comments. Fans were not just unhappy, they were incandescent with rage, accusing a prominent figure of actively dismantling the most exciting phenomenon women's basketball had ever seen. The controversy wasn't just a ripple, it was a tidal wave, threatening to drown reputations and reshape the narrative around the sport's biggest star. This was more than just a bad take, it was seen as a direct attack, fueling an unprecedented level of fan fury that shows no signs of quieting down.
Of our channel. With that being said, Stephanie White, man, look like she's planning on going on another media run. I don't know if it's gonna help bring the hype back. I feel like Stephanie White is the biggest contributor to killing Caitlin Clark hype. See, what people don't want to admit is that Caitlin Clark was single-handedly the force behind the whole women's basketball genre. If Caitlin Clark died, the whole genre dies. And that is what has been happening. Caitlin Clark hype has diminished. It's starting to come back some. I give y'all that. It's starting to come back some, but it's not where it was, or it's not where it needed to be to hold a steady line going into the start of the season. Now, we do know the 2020.
The figure at the center of this maelstrom, none other than Stephanie White, coach of the Indiana Fever, now facing an onslaught of criticism so intense it has become a viral sensation. The prevailing sentiment among a significant portion of the fan base, and echoed by prominent voices like John Liquid, is that White is single-handedly responsible for killing the Caitlin Clark hype. This isn't just about a few misplaced words, it's about perceived strategic missteps, and public statements that in the eyes of an enraged audience, have crossed an unforgivable line, igniting a firestorm that refuses to be contained and threatens to define her legacy in the sport.
Y'all should know how I feel about Stephanie White. I'm not the biggest fan of her. Her taking Caitlin Clark off the ball, ultimately, I feel like damaged her in a way. This is what she said. This is the clip right here. That is going viral. I believe the interview was tomorrow. Yeah, it is.
You know, with Caitlin, you know she's a hard worker because of what she's been able to accomplish. But until you see that there's no wasted movements, no wasted reps, no wasted anything, you just have such a level of respect for how she goes about her work every day. And understanding the spotlight that she's on, understanding the weight that she carries because of who she is. And like, she's literally like Taylor Swift 2.0. And that somehow
the initial spark came from a recent media appearance where White discussed Clark's undeniable work ethic, stating, "Until you see that there's no wasted movements, no wasted reps, no wasted anything, you just have such a level of respect for how she goes about her work every day." She even compared Clark to Taylor Swift 2.0, praising her ability to compartmentalize and focus amidst immense pressure. On the surface, these comments seem complimentary, highlighting dedication, yet in the charged atmosphere surrounding Clark, these seemingly innocuous remarks were twisted, dissected, and ultimately weaponized by an audience already convinced of a darker agenda, transforming praise into perceived sabotage.
That I talked about this with my wife earlier, and we talked about the whole Caitlin Clark saga, the whole Caitlin Clark mania, you know, of it all. And her question to me was that, do you think Caitlin Clark wanted all of this? And I really had to sit down for a second to think about everything that transpired from her leaving Iowa until now. And my question to her was that I don't know, and I really don't think she did. I don't think Caitlin Clark ever wanted all the attention that she got. I don't think Caitlin Clark ever wanted people making videos about her. I don't think her family wanted any of the madness that came with all of this publicity. I truly think Caitlin Clark.
But for many, particularly outspoken content creators like Jonna Liquid, White's words were a symptom of a larger problem. Liquid vehemently argues that White's coaching decisions, specifically taking Caitlin Clark off the ball, have been detrimental, directly contributing to the player's struggles, and by extension, the perceived decline in the broader women's basketball excitement. He's not mincing words, suggesting that White's strategy has actively undermined Clark's natural talent, stifling her impact and cooling the explosive fervor she ignited, creating an environment where even positive observations are viewed with suspicion and hostility.
Like Stephanie White said, like Caitlin Clark gotta realize she's the talent. You run the show. Most of the time, the highest paid player on a basketball team is not the coach, it's the superstar player. Caitlin Clark is going to be that for the Indiana Fever as long as she's there. Once this whole rookie thing and the CBA thing get done. And my thing is, for Stephanie White, got to look at herself in the mirror to know that you kind of, bruh, pissed the people off with this whole Caitlin Clark thing. She definitely did.
The core of the argument against White, as articulated by Liquid, is startlingly direct. Stephanie White is the biggest contributor to killing Caitlin Clark hype. This isn't a nuanced critique, it's a bold accusation that positions White as the antagonist in the narrative of women's basketball's biggest star. For Liquid, Clark was the singular force, the single-handedly whole women's basketball engine, and her diminished visibility or effectiveness is directly attributable to the choices made by her coach. It's a high-stakes claim that puts White squarely in the crosshairs, bearing the weight of an entire sport's perceived momentum.
In the mirror to know that you kinda, bruh, pissed the people off with this whole Caitlin Clark thing. She definitely did. I don't think Stephanie White was helpful to Caitlin. Now, granted, was she's a decent coach, good enough to, you know what I'm saying, get this thing to where it needed to be, get over the hump? Yes, she was. But do I believe she helped Caitlin Clark? No, she did not help Caitlin Clark. She hurt Caitlin Clark in a major way. I believe Stephanie White single-handedly hurt the Caitlin Clark genre. And not only did she hurt the Caitlin Clark genre, she hurt.
The contentious decision to take Clark off the ball became a lightning rod for criticism. Fans and analysts alike questioned why the player, renowned for her visionary passing and long-range shooting, would be positioned away from her natural playmaking role. Liquid emphatically states, her taking Caitlin Clark off the ball, ultimately, I feel like, DMAing it's her in a way. This specific tactical choice ignited fierce debate, with many believing it stifled Clark's unique offensive capabilities and prevented her from fully impacting games, consequently dampening the overall excitement she brought to the league and its burgeoning fan base, exacerbating an already tense situation.
Help Caitlin Clark? No, she did not help Caitlin Clark. She hurt Caitlin Clark in a major way. I believe Stephanie White single-handedly hurt the Caitlin Clark genre. And not only did she hurt the Caitlin Clark genre, she hurt women's basketball genre in a whole and not even know what she did. I'm telling you guys, man, I've been paying attention. I will keep saying this over and over and over again until you guys, as the audience, pay attention to what is happening around us. This is somebody that has been doing YouTube for 4 years, bro. I have reached 80 million views without ever buying a view, without ever buying a subscriber, with just pure talent. I've never seen what's happening with women's basketball.
Adding another layer to this complex narrative, Liquid speculates that Caitlin Clark herself never truly desired the overwhelming spotlight that engulfed her. He suggests, I don't think Caitlin Clark ever wanted all the attention that she got. I truly think she was just a small-town chick that loved the game of basketball and wanted to play basketball. This perspective reframes Clark not as a seeker of fame, but as a pure athlete thrust into an unprecedented media circus, making her, in Liquid's view, potentially vulnerable to the external pressures and strategic missteps that followed, further intensifying the criticism leveled at White's management.
Her shot by making her work on it. She injured herself by working last year. Stephanie White is the devil and is intentionally sabotaging her. Did you know she had a bad record at Vanderbilt? Outrage. I am doing this right now. Somebody said, think you're lacking just a bit. The outrage need more caps to really set the tone. Actually fair. One reply says, I do appreciate the laugh though. If you play the video back where she actually says she hates Caitlin Clark and wants her to die. Oh, are you secretly Venom? And um,
While acknowledging Clark's enormous financial gains from the sudden explosion of popularity, Liquid poses a critical question. Did she, perhaps, allow herself to be run around by various forces within the sport? He contends, "Do I feel as if Caitlin Clark let people kind of run her around and say whatever to her and take her off the ball and put this muscle on and do this, do that? Do I feel like that contributed to a bunch? Yes. That definitely did. This implies a loss of agency for Clark, suggesting that external influences, including coaching decisions, may have detracted from her true potential, further fueling the outrage at those perceived to be leading her astray." The sentiment among a vocal segment of the fanbase is that Stephanie White actively pissed the people off with her handling of Caitlin Clark. Liquid asserts this vehemently, declaring, "You kind of pissed the people off with this whole Caitlin Clark thing. She definitely did. I don't think Stephanie White was helpful to Caitlin." This direct accusation paints White not just as a strategist with differing views, but as someone whose actions directly alienated the very audience that was driving the sport's renewed interest, creating a deep rift between the team's leadership and a passionate, newly engaged fan base. The fallout, according to Liquid, extends far beyond just one player. He argues that Stephanie White's decisions have not only hurt Caitlin Clark in a major way, but have also single-handedly hurt the Caitlin Clark genre, and even more broadly, hurt women's basketball genre in a whole. This is a staggering claim, suggesting that White's perceived mishandling of the sport's most important asset has inflicted damage on the entire ecosystem of women's basketball, potentially squandering a generational opportunity for growth and mainstream appeal. A truly savage critique that carries profound implications for the league's future trajectory. The outrage reached fever pitch with direct attacks on White's character and intent. One fan comment, now widely circulated, screams, "Stephanie White is the devil and is intentionally sabotaging her." This extreme accusation encapsulates the raw anger and belief in malicious intent held by some segments of the audience. Such comments, though inflammatory, highlight the deep emotional investment fans have in Clark's success and their readiness to attribute any perceived setbacks to deliberate nefarious actions by those in charge, intensifying the viral narrative of betrayal and sabotage surrounding the coach. Another point of contention that ignited fierce debate was the implication that Caitlin Clark, despite her unparalleled collegiate success, still had aspects of her game requiring refinement. The quoted fan comment, "How dare she imply that Caitlin Clark still have stuff to work on?" perfectly illustrates this defensiveness. For many, Clark was already a basketball savant, and any suggestion of imperfection or need for development was interpreted as an insult, a subtle jab, or even an attempt to diminish her extraordinary talent, fueling the narrative that White was attempting to undermine her superstar. Digging deeper into White's past, critics resurfaced her coaching record at Vanderbilt, using it as further ammunition. "Did you know she had a bad record at Vanderbilt?" outrage. One fan comment queried, attempting to discredit White's qualifications and decision-making by pointing to previous struggles. This move to scrutinize historical performance underscores the lengths to which enraged fans will go to justify their criticism, linking past professional challenges to current controversies and reinforcing the perception of White as an unfit leader for the league's most prized asset, amplifying the calls for her accountability. The intensity of the fan backlash even led to wildly exaggerated, almost satirical comments. One such remark playfully, or perhaps not so playfully, asked, "If you play the video back where she actually says she hates Caitlin Clark and wants her to die, oh, are you secretly Venom?" This hyperbolic statement, while clearly not to be taken literally, underscores the sheer volume of negative sentiment directed at White, revealing how deeply emotional and extreme the public reaction became. It paints a vivid picture of a fan base wrestling with intense feelings, often expressing them through over-the-top viral-ready pronouncements, cementing the narrative of savage opposition. Liquid doesn't shy away from claiming prescience in this unfolding drama. He confidently states, "I told y'all last year Stephanie White was up to no good." This assertion positions him as an early warning system, someone who recognized the potential for negative outcomes long before the mainstream media caught on. By framing himself as a prophet of this particular controversy, he further legitimizes his current highly critical stance, reinforcing the idea that White's perceived detrimental impact on Clark in the league was not a sudden turn but a predictable trajectory that he had already identified and called out, deepening the sense of premeditated harm. Amidst this firestorm of criticism, reports suggest Stephanie White is embarking on another media run, an action that could either exacerbate or alleviate the current tensions. Will she address the swirling accusations head-on, or will her appearances inadvertently ignite more controversy? The timing of this media push, coinciding with peak fan outrage, raises questions about its intent and potential repercussions. For many, this isn't just a routine press tour, it's a strategic move loaded with implications for her reputation and the future narrative surrounding Caitlin Clark, a move scrutinized under the intense glare of public scrutiny, making every word consequential. The controversy extends beyond individual reputations, touching the very financial backbone of the WNBA. Liquid starkly connects White's alleged killing of the Clark Height to the ongoing CBA negotiations, suggesting, has Stephanie White not killed the Caitlin Clark Height, y'all probably would have got some money. This places an immense financial burden on White's perceived actions, implying that her coaching and comments could directly cost players significant earnings, transforming a coaching critique into a high-stakes economic issue, directly impacting the collective future and prosperity of every athlete in the league, a truly savage economic implication. This financial angle is particularly poignant given the WNBA's precarious economic standing. As Liquid points out, the WNBA was already in the red, guys. The league's existing financial challenges mean that the surge in popularity brought by Caitlin Clark was not just a bonus, but a vital lifeline. The perception that this lifeline is now being severed or weakened by internal mismanagement makes the criticisms of Stephanie White all the more potent and emotionally charged, framing her actions as not just damaging to a player, but potentially catastrophic to the league's financial stability and its long-term viability, a dire warning for all involved. Ultimately, the diminished hype, according to this narrative, directly translates to reduced leverage for players in their quest for meaningful revenue sharing. But as of right now, y'all, Daner gotta take what y'all could get. Liquid laments, implying that the potential for substantial financial gains has been squandered. This means that the savage comments attributed to Stephanie White and the subsequent fan backlash aren't just about hurt feelings or perceived tactical errors. They have tangible, severe economic consequences for every player in the league, impacting their present earnings and future financial security, a grim outlook for the WNBA's collective bargaining power. So, what began as seemingly innocent remarks about a player's work ethic escalated into a full-blown viral crisis, fueled by passionate fan outrage and amplified by critical voices like Jonna Liquid. Stephanie White finds herself at the epicenter of a storm, accused of everything from tactical missteps to intentionally sabotaging the sport's biggest star, potentially jeopardizing the WNBA's financial future. The true cost of these savage comments might not just be a coach's reputation, but a defining moment for women's basketball itself, leaving us to wonder if the league can recover from such internal strife.